Welcome friends, it's Dennis with Gutter-Vac. We've got a moss removal job here for you today. So we want to take you really through the process, how we do it, what to expect, what sort of results, your warranties, what kind of process we use, and how to prepare for the job. So come on up with us. We're on top of the roof here. As you can see, we got a fairly mossy roof. And I really want to go through the process that we use because the different contractors, they use really different process, and it can be confusing for the customer when they're taking these things into consideration when you're choosing a contractor. Now, what are we trying to achieve? Okay, we're trying to achieve a moss-free roof with as little damage to the roof, as very little agitation, particularly to shingle roofs, as possible, right? We don't want to agitate the aggregate on the shingle just to get the moss off. That would be counterproductive. So our job is to get rid of any of the organic moss. So as you can see, this is actually the green growing stuff, but also the black algae staining, that kind of discoloration on the roof. A lot of times you'll see, like the north and west facing roofs, they'll be streaky and black, particularly on those facing slopes, and on the south facing sides the shingles would be a totally different color. They'd be much lighter. Generally speaking, the moss removal process is mainly a chemical treatment, and that is the way that is recommended by the Roof Manufacturers Association, the people that actually create these shingles, because they do not want you to agitate the shingles and disturb the granules. It's counterproductive. And so when we do the chemical treatment, it is to remove this moss, and it completely burns off that black algae staining, and it brings it right back to the original color. Now, the process can take a little bit of time, usually 3 to 6 months. You get a drastic change right off the bat, but to get full results is 3 to 6 months. Now, the black algae staining, it burns off right away. You'll get that after the first rainfall. But if you have a roof that's very mossy, what we'll do is a pre-clearing of the moss. Now, we'll do this very gently, and we'll do this generally with a scraper or a very soft bristle broom like plastic. Sometimes I see guys that are using wire mesh brushes, and they are brushing the crap out of the roof. There is no pressure washing. There is no strong agitation brushing, because maybe they're doing that because they don't have the equipment to completely treat the roof. Now, some guys will just go and fill up a little pump sprayer, and they say, yeah, I'm going to treat your roof, and they go and treat the roof. Okay, but that's not really the best way to do it. We have a dedicated pump that's in the van, giant tank of bleach, so we can cover this whole roof. This whole roof is going to need to be covered because there's very little bits of moss, not even very visible on the south facing side, but it's still there. We still need to treat that whole, we have to cover this whole roof, and you really need a dedicated pump. You have to have that equipment. Now, if in another contractor's quote, he says he's going to remove the moss and treat it. But how is he going to treat it? Is he going to just use a little pump sprayer, go around, spray it, and call it a day? Or is he going to cover the roof with a dedicated pump? That's something you don't know, but it does make a difference. The removal, in this case, what we'll do is we'll just run this right along the edge, just like this. As you can see, the moss is just coming right off. It's basically doesn't need any agitation at all. We're just gonna gently pop that off, and then we'll use our blowers to blow off, just like this, right? I could just run this. I'm not even pushing on it. Just kind of running it like this. There's very, very little contact with the roof, just like this, and we're gonna blow it off. Now, it's not going to remove every single little hair of moss, but it's more than enough. Now, we don't always have to do this. If the moss, this moss here is fairly large, so we will do a manual removal, a little bit more intensive removal. Sometimes if the moss is a little bit smaller, we can get away with just the treatment part. This is completely at the technician's discretion, okay? How much removal he does before the treatment, that's going to be based on the state of the moss. But again, the end result we're going for is a complete moss removal. All of the organics on your roof need to be removed, right? The black algae staining and the growing moss. That's what we're going for. So sometimes it does take around 3 to 6 months to get the full results. If there's any situation where there's anything you're noticing anything on the roof after that period, we always come out, we inspect it right away, and if it does need follow-up treatment, we just treat those little spots that need it, and then we call it a day. We do warranty the moss for 2 years after the cleaning. So generally speaking, it's very rare for us to get any callbacks, even for moss that's left over after a treatment, but very rarely. Sometimes it does happen. Are you going to have to clean your roof every 2 years? Not even, because the moss, to get to this point, I mean, this is maybe 10, 15 years. So how soon you're going to need to do it is going to depend on a couple different things. How much shade and how much moisture the roof sees. But I would say not more than 5 years approximately. So it's not something you need to do constantly. We try not to scare the customers into having to do this. Oh, you better do this. It's not a rush. Okay, this roof is not going to be catastrophic by any means. There's a couple different benefits to clearing the moss. Number one is the aesthetics. Obviously the aesthetics is going to be much better with the green off, the black algae, the staining. It's going to look clean. Number two, it's going to function better. The water is designed to flow vertically over these shingles. When you have this debris or moss growing, the water hits these obstructions and it can start to go a little bit underneath, horizontally behind the shingles. We don't really want that. We want the water to come down. As you can see, the moss is heavy, especially in the roof valleys. There's no valleys here, but especially valleys this way, if there's debris, it can hit and go sideways. Now we don't want that. The other thing is when the moss is here, it holds the moisture here. It holds the moisture, and so the roof shingles are constantly wet. And what you'll start to notice is the sheeting underneath the roof. It just starts to rot a lot easier. So we want the roof to look good and function properly. Is it going to be destructive? No, it's not. Is it a rush? No. Basically, we do these cleanings typically in the spring, then summer when the conditions are dry, basically starting from March to October, November. Starting in November, December, the conditions are super wet, and it gets very difficult to schedule with the weather, and we get busy just with gutter cleaning. So in the winter times, we try and avoid do it. I would say wait until the better weather, because the chemical treatment, if the conditions are really wet, we have to use a stronger ratio, and it gets a little bit harder to achieve the results. So the drier, the better. Yeah, you can do it when it's still wet, but basically in the spring, the summers, and into the fall, it can be done. And again, our job is to make sure the roof is clear and it's functioning properly, and we will get there. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, especially if you're doing it in the summer when there's not a lot of rain. Well, it takes a little bit longer for the roof to get clear with the rain, because it uses the mechanical action of the rain. So our first step here is to prep the roof. We'll do a little removal, we'll blow the roof, we'll clean the gutters, and we'll show you how do we do the chemical treatment. Okay guys, we've done the manual removal first. You can see the big difference in this side, and it's not 100% removal, and I'm not worried about that at all, because now comes the chemical treatment portion. And you'll also see the huge color difference. We have the south side, how light gray it is, and it's super nasty. It's really slimy, darkness on this side. The chemical treatment is gonna burn all that black algae staining and the moss. The way that it works is the moss sucks it in. It usually turns white right off the bat, and the chemical will dehydrate this moss, and it will wither away into dust. Rain, it's gonna wash that away. It will not end up in your gutters, okay? Because it dehydrates it to the point where it just kind of turns into dust, okay? So we're gonna start the treatment over here, and we're gonna show you how this process is gonna work. I'm gonna start over here, and as that chemical hits the moss, it's gonna turn white, and the roof is gonna go from a black color, it's gonna turn light right away. The roof is already starting, the whole roof is starting to turn a lot lighter in color, and compared to this kind of purplish, maroonish, dark color over here. It's already burned that black algae off, and the moss itself is already turning white. So when it first sucks in that chemical, it does change color, it turns white, and then when it starts to dehydrate, that whiteness will go away. So sometimes when it first hits the roof and we treat the moss, it becomes more visible. It really pops on the roof, and the customer is a little bit taken aback. Don't worry about that. It does become a little more visible when it sucks in the chemical, but it will dehydrate, and that color will disappear with a little bit of time.